Our top story tonight is a mother's worst fear, being told her child won't survive and facing an agonizing choice.
A Savannah woman's fight to protect her children nearly cost her life after she fell through the cracks of Georgia's reproductive health care system. WSAV's Christine Callie is joining us now to share her story.
So Tina, Ben, this woman we're talking about, her name is Callie Beale Harper. She's a mother who I've spent the last several weeks getting to know, learning about who she is as a person, but also who she became as an advocate in the fight to save her own life and her daughter's over the last 2 years.
She's singing, and this morning at 6 a.m. she was singing "An Old MacDonald Had a Farm" just at the top of her lungs.
Callie's daughter, Kit, is a little over a year old. She loves playing with her stuffed animals. She loves to look at the chickens in her neighbor's yard, and she loves to sing. But before she was born, her mom didn't know how many of those things Kit would be able to do.
She was born at 27 weeks. She had a grade 2 brain bleed. She had retinopathy of prematurity, which could have affected her vision for life. And she had a lung disorder called BPD because of prematurity due to my lack of care, due to laws in the state of Georgia.
Kit was originally a twin. It was April of 2023 when Callie found out she was pregnant with a girl and a little boy.
A lot to think about, but super exciting, and I immediately started looking at like the double carriers.
However, her hopes were soon dashed, doctors telling her only one of her 2 babies would survive.
About 13 weeks of pregnancy, I discovered that one of my twins had severe physical structural anomalies. Structurally, he was incompatible with life. And just me not knowing anything medically, I could see with my eye, my untrained eye, that so many parts of his body were broken beyond repair. It was incredibly swollen, and I immediately just hoped and prayed that he wasn't in pain.
What came next? An impossible choice and a shocking revelation from one of Harper's doctors.
I saw one of the best maternal fetal medicine specialists in the state of Georgia, and he said what I recommend is a procedure called a selective reduction, and that is a form of abortion. It's painless before they have pain receptors. The risk is that if he continues to collect fluid, it's going to put your daughter's amniotic sac in a position that will take her life as well and trigger preterm labor for you, and it is a really real risk to your life. But he told me this procedure, although critically needed, is illegal in the state of Georgia. I didn't understand why I didn't qualify for the exceptions for non-viable pregnancy as well as risk to mother's life, but I knew that door was closed. They couldn't even refer me to doctors.
So off she went from Georgia to one of the states that would perform the surgery, New York. But it took several weeks to even get the out-of-state appointment, time that Callie says she didn't have. Shortly after she returned to Georgia, Callie ended up in the hospital again, just as her doctors told her she would if she waited too long to have the procedure recommended to her.
At 19 weeks, I found myself with complete loss of fluid, contracting, bleeding. My husband took me to the hospital emergency room in the middle of the night. I went to triage and heard behind me, as I'm having contractions and literally sitting in my own blood and amniotic fluid, them discussing that legally I was not allowed up to labor and delivery for care and monitoring because I wasn't 20 weeks.
Hearing staff comments, fearing for her own life and the life of her babies, a frantic mother-to-be texting her husband just outside the hospital, looking for answers, some help.
For hours I sat in the emergency room. They started sending me back to the waiting room and said that they were going to put me on a course that aligned with the outcome of my pregnancy, which was very disturbing.
Not knowing what that could mean, Harper says she had no choice but to take matters into her own hands.
I completely lost my mind. I screamed at the top of my lungs. I gripped the back of the wheelchair and I said, "My daughter is alive and I need help." Because I caused a scene, because I am a mother who loves her children, I was moved to a back room. At that point, I was led up to labor and delivery. I did have a very rare delayed interval delivery in which my son was born, but my daughter stayed safely inside.
But more devastating news came next when Harper says a specialist arrived the next morning, telling her,
even though your daughter is perfectly healthy, we are now going to have to induce you. We're going to have to abort her life at 20 weeks because this pregnancy is going to kill you and you are turning septic. I wish that I could say that I was furious and said, you denied me health care in this form at 12, 13 weeks on my son with terminal problems. How are you going to take the life of my healthy daughter away?
Now we have Callie faced with yet another impossible choice. And while she does live in Savannah at this point, none of the events we just told you about happened at a hospital in our region of Georgia. So what happened next? Coming up on WSAV News 3 at 6 tomorrow, we'll tell you how kids survived. And at 11 tomorrow, that's when you'll hear from the lawmakers who wrote Georgia's abortion laws. Christine Quayle, WSAV News 3 on your side.
Christine, thank you.